Now on Coast TV News.
Rehoboth Beach hires legal counsel to review this college takeover that led to several arrests and felony warrants. A massive gun seizure in Wicomico County, what led up to over 40 guns being discovered by police. School grant rejected.
I was a little disappointed to hear that.
A bilingual school in Georgetown loses out on $900,000, but leaders are still pushing ahead.
An absolutely gorgeous Friday on the way with temperatures into the 70s and then much cooler heading into the weekend. I'll track it all on Featurecast coming up next.
This is Coast TV News at 11.
On war progress. Good evening, I'm Brandon Ferguson. Welcome to Coast TV News at 11. After months of fighting, negotiators for the U.S. and Iran have apparently reached a deal. One official says it's just waiting for the sign-off from President Trump and Iranian leaders. NBC's Richard Engel shows us the latest and what that means.
A possible breakthrough tonight to end the war that has killed more than 3,000 Iranians, 13 Americans, and sent oil prices soaring. A senior Arab official directly involved in ceasefire talks tells NBC News tonight negotiators from both Iran and the U.S. have agreed to a deal and are now awaiting final sign-off from Iran's top leaders and President Trump.
You have a very short window for doing anything having to do with war. But I don't view that window. I view it, I have to do what's right.
The deal, the official said, was reached 3 days ago in Doha, Qatar, but has yet to become official. According to a draft released by Iranian media, the agreement would open the Strait of Hormuz and extend the ceasefire for 60 days. And then negotiations would begin over Iran's nuclear program to reach a long-term agreement. But time isn't helping. The deal nearly broke down twice this week, with Iran and the U.S. exchanging fire near the Strait of Hormuz. The latest clashes coming early this morning when Iran launched a ballistic missile at a U.S. base in Kuwait in response, Iran says, to an American strike on a command and control site in southern Iran. Kuwaiti air defenses shot down the incoming missile before it reached the American base. But the death toll is rising in Lebanon. Israel today carried out major strikes against Hezbollah in Beirut and Tyre. The Israeli military has ordered Lebanese civilians to evacuate from 17% of the country, declaring it a military zone.
As a result of the Iran war, gas prices have overall increased. But as of today, drivers in Delaware are getting a small break at the pump. According to AAA, the average price for a regular gas gallon here in Delaware is at $4.22 a gallon. That is down from yesterday's $4.26 a gallon and last week's $4.34 a gallon. But prices are still much higher than this time last year, when Delaware's average was $2.95 a gallon. In Rehoboth Beach, the city has now hired outside counsel to review issues tied to last week's takeover event. The city says Max Walton of Connolly Gallagher will advise officials and conduct an independent review of that takeover. This comes after police say an advertised college takeover brought a large crowd to the beach and boardwalk on May 19th. Rehoboth Beach police say several businesses closed early and arrests were made. Police say all 4 promoters are Delaware State University students, and since last week, 3 have turned themselves in and were later released after felony warrants were issued for intent to commit or facilitate a riot. The 4th, Eric Barnett, has not turned himself in. 2 men are facing charges after Dewey Beach police say disturbance turned into a struggle with officers early this morning. Police say 19-year-old David Rihanna and 18-year-old Quentin Wilbur gave false information, tried to run from officers, and resisted arrest near Coastal Highway and Salisbury Street. 2 officers suffered minor injuries. Both men are charged with felony resisting arrest, disorderly conduct, and underage alcohol possession. In Camden, Delaware State Police and the Delaware Department of Justice are investigating an in-custody suicide at Troop 3. State police say 49-year-old Shane Mullen of Hartley was alone in a temporary holding cell when he used a shoelace to hang himself. Troopers say they tried life-saving efforts, but Mullen was pronounced dead a short time later. State police say the homicide unit and the DOJ's Division of Civil Rights and Public Trust are investigating. State police say Mullen was wanted on a felony domestic warrant when troopers responded to a Hartley home late Wednesday night. Troopers say pursuit followed before Mullen was taken into custody after resisting arrest. We're now taking a look outside into Salisbury. We're going to bring in First Alert meteorologist Bob Trihey for a look at our weather. Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, Brandon. An absolutely beautiful Thursday. Drier temperatures near 80 inland areas. And now with clear skies and light winds, temperatures are dipping pretty quickly. Millsboro 67, Georgetown 68, Bethany Beach 69, Rehoboth at 68. Dew point temperatures very low in the 40s and 50s. That dry air warms and cools very quickly as we still have a northerly breeze pretty strong and still gusting over 20 miles per hour at the coast. But those winds will start to relax as we go through the overnight hours, and right now it's crystal clear, so that will allow temperatures to really dip as drier air builds in from the north as high pressure is building in from the Great Lakes. Here's 1 a.m. We're looking at 50s and low 60s, but then by 5:30 have that light jacket, low to mid 50s. Inland areas, 50s and 60s at the coast, and then a nice warm up into the afternoon. Upper 70s, a beautiful afternoon, but cooler 60s at the coast. So just a gorgeous Friday. Picture perfect pretty much, but then cooler and breezy heading into the weekend, but staying dry. Your full forecast coming up a little bit later on.
Thank you, Bob. A welfare check in Wicomico County led to a major gun seizure. The sheriff's office says deputies first responded to a home for a possible cocaine overdose and saw multiple firearms, 3D printers, and 3D printed gun parts. A search warrant was later served, and deputies say they seized 24 long guns, 20 handguns, 7 ghost gun platforms, ammunition, drugs, and paraphernalia. Investigators say most of the guns were loaded and charges could be coming. New tonight, Lewis Mayor Amy Marasco confirms she has hired an outside firm to investigate after a controversial commission video was taken down. The video was critical of staff and council member Joe Elder, who was up for re-election. And as you first saw on CoastTV News at 6 yesterday, after originally refusing to answer our questions, City Manager Ellen Lorraine McCabe admitted she ordered the video to be taken down, saying she wanted to protect an employee. Despite McCabe's admission, Mayor Marasco says the investigation is continuing to determine why this happened, as removing videos, quote, has not been past practice. Marasco also says the investigation will help put in place guardrails and best practices so this does not happen again. Marasco says this should take about a month, and there has not been an investigator hired yet into a separate complaint from the city manager and her deputy against the deputy mayor. And we have an entire page dedicated into our investigation into Lewis City Hall. There's also claims of toxic workplace. You can find it all online. Just click continuing coverage on coasttv.com. A proposed 15-acre solar project near Milton is planned next to Southern Delaware Therapeutic horseback riding there on Harbison Road. No decision was made after a May 20th Sussex County Planning and Zoning public hearing on whether to approve the conditional use needed for that solar project. The riding center had a problem with the initial proposal, saying the solar panels are too close to its horses and facility. But both the property owner and the riding center say talks are now moving in a positive direction, with changes being discussed, including more space between the property and moving some equipment farther away. And this brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know, what should county leaders prioritize? Let's take a look at the updated results from our 6 p.m. newscast. So far, the majority, 71%, saying farm preservation. If you haven't voted yet, you still can on Coast TV News on our mobile app or on our website. A planned bilingual charter school in Georgetown is facing another roadblock. State transportation leaders have rejected a nearly $900,000 infrastructure grant tied to Aspira Georgetown project, adding more questions about the school's timeline. The Aspira Charter School, that's what the state has rejected the $900,000 grant, because they say it does not fall under the state's definition of a business, which that grant only applies to. Project leaders say they will now have to secure alternate funding.
The bilingual charter school is planned inside a former cold storage building in Georgetown, but it won't have $900,000 it was counting on.
I was a little disappointed to hear that.
The money would have helped pay for sidewalks and road improvements around the future school site on Depot Street in Georgetown.
We want opportunities for parents to be able to provide their children with the type of environment that they think that the children are going to learn in. And as a bilingual charter, it would be a really great thing for our community. We have a lot of Spanish-speaking children.
State leaders say that the project does not qualify under current rules because charter schools are considered public schools, not businesses, under Delaware law. The application was submitted by property owner Dan Bond, who argued that the building behind me is owned through a private company that would lease the space to Aspida.
I think it'll have a great impact on our community. It's an underutilized building right now. It's just sitting empty. It's a brick building. It's a great place. It's in a great place in Georgetown. It's easily accessible from all around.
The project has already faced multiple delays that school leaders say is connected to the federal government shutdown. Aspida leaders previously pushed the school's opening from the 2026 school year to fall of 2027. The academy says they are pursuing separate funding for the furniture, the kitchen equipment, and the playground. School leaders say they still plan to open the Georgetown campus in September of 2027.
It was so nice to see the return of the sunshine on Thursday. Beautiful day with a high of 80. Average high now is 78. Our low is 68. Normal low of 58. And we'll be looking at below normal temperatures as we go into the weekend. Congratulations to our umbrella giveaway winner. It's Thelma Heath from Dagsboro. And congratulations from Paul Davis and CoastTV. It will be a cool and breezy weekend, but it stays dry. Your full forecast coming up a little bit later on.
Coming up in sports, the Delaware spring sports season is almost over. What you can still look forward to from your local teams. A look from above at the Bay Bridge, the history of the iconic structure coming up a little later. But first, a walk in the woods in Georgetown, turning fresh air into a fresh way to learn. We'll be back in just 60 seconds.
It's a story you can literally walk through. The Sussex Elementary Academy Forest is now home to a brand new outdoor learning experience, the Sussex Academy Story Walk. CoastTV's Nicole Richter shows us how this project is helping kids turn the page on a new experience.
A walk through the forest. But at Sussex Elementary Academy, it's more than just a walk in the woods. It's a new path to learning. School leaders recently launched the Connie Hendricks Story Walk.
Getting them outside does help them focus.
Administrators say the goal is to boost environmental literacy, protect local wetlands, and support habitat restoration, especially around what they call their secret pond. The trail is dedicated to Connie Hendricks, longtime school leader and now dean, honoring her years of dedication and leadership.
We do believe that getting students outside is helpful with brain development and focus, so the Story Walk just blends the natural world.
But the trail isn't just a trail. It's called a Story Walk for a reason. As students make their way through the forest, they'll find pages posted along the path from the book The Salamander Room, turning a simple stroll into a big reading experience.
It's not just a nature trail, and it's not just going outside. It's bringing all the elements of education together in a different environment where kids sometimes pay more attention, focus a little bit better.
From collecting pine cones and acorns to weaving in math, science, and creativity, the possibilities stretch as far as the trail itself.
I don't think there's any other job like this where you get to see little humans, mature and grow and learn throughout so many years.
This trail is turning every step into a lesson and every page into an adventure. At Sussex Elementary Academy, learning isn't just happening in the classroom anymore. It's growing right here in the forest. For Coastal Connections, I'm Nicole Richter, Coast TV News.
America 250 on Delmarva. Brought to you by Johnny Janosic.
The Chesapeake Bay divides Maryland's mainland from the eastern shore. Ferries were once popular for bridging the gap until traffic increased and they could no longer handle the demand. Bay Bridge proposals appeared as early as 1907, but plans made in 1927 were scrapped by the stock market crash of 1929. It wasn't until 1939 that the Maryland General Assembly authorized bridge construction, which was then delayed again by World War II. Finally, construction on the Chesapeake Bay Bridge began in 1947 and was completed 5 years later. The Army Corps of Engineers would not approve the design unless it crossed the shipping channel at a 90-degree angle, resulting in the bridge's unique curve. At the time it was built, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge was the longest over-water structure in the world at 4.2 miles long. Today, the Chesapeake Bay Bridge transports between 20 to 30 million cars every year, an important connection point of Maryland.
Find savings everywhere you turn. Memorial Day savings are extended at Johnny Janosic. Get our guaranteed lowest prices on furniture and mattresses. Then take an extra 20% off or 0% APR financing for 60 months. Plus 10% off all Tommy Bahama styles. Get this 5-piece immersive sound sectional for just $29.88 or this 3-piece outdoor sectional only $16.88. But the Memorial Day sale ends Monday, only at Johnny Janosic.
I'm sure a lot of you have heard the saying, what a difference a day makes, and boy, does it ever. Yesterday, it was the rain and humidity. Today, that humidity was gone. The sun returned, and it was beautiful. 80 in Georgetown, 81 in Salisbury, 80 for a high in Ocean City, upper 70s in Cambridge and Easton. As we're taking a look at the Irish Ice Cam, Lewis Canal looking beautiful. The moon is shimmering down, a gorgeous moon out there. It's really a pretty evening. We're looking at cool conditions, clear skies overnight, and it will be cooling down. I'm expecting low to mid 50s by morning, and Friday, much like today, is going to be basically a perfect day. I think maybe a little better because the winds won't be as strong, with sunshine, temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Right now, with clear skies and light winds, temperatures are cooling off pretty quickly into the mid to upper 60s. 63 in Willards right now. Millsboro 67, Laurel also 67, with Milton at 68, Bethany Beach at 69 degrees, and the dew point temperatures into the 40s and low 50s. That's telling us the air is very dry. It warms up quickly and it cools quickly as well. We still have a northerly breeze around 5 to 15 miles per hour, and at times gusting close to 20 at the beaches as we're looking at clear skies. A gorgeous starry night out there as we have high pressure building in from the Great Lakes with a northerly flow, and this high carving out a big area of clear skies from the Midwest into the Mid-Atlantic, keeping all the humidity and showers along this front, and this high will be strong pretty much with us through the end of the week into the weekend. Here's Futurecast tonight at 1 a.m. We're falling through the 60s, a little warmer at the beaches. And then by 6 a.m., make sure you have the lighter jacket. Low to mid 50s inland, 50s and lower 60s at the beaches. And then we're looking at gorgeous conditions on Friday. Lots of sunshine, 78 Salisbury to Millsboro, 78 in Georgetown. But right along the immediate coast, 60s from Ocean City up to Dewey Beach. And then winds briefly turn to the southwest tomorrow evening ahead of the next shot of cooler air that builds in Saturday morning. That could bring some clouds, and this is going to bring cooler weather. It's going to be breezy and temperatures struggling through the 60s, maybe 70 well inland, but a lot of us in the 50s and 60s. It will be a chilly time. And then by Sunday morning, this is going to be really chilly, low to mid 40s away from the coast, even some 40s at the beaches. Now, our dew point trend, of course, last week was very muggy to humid. A much different story this week as we're into the dry to comfortable range. And it looks like that trend will continue through the weekend into early next week as we're looking at mid to upper 70s from Lewis to Dewey Beach. Lots of sunshine tomorrow. Lower 70s from Bethany Beach to Chincoteague as we're seeing those winds briefly swinging to the southwest and then getting strong out of the north, close to 30 miles per hour on Saturday. And we're looking at, well, mainly clear skies for the weekend. We'll see a system offshore with below normal temperatures to start the month of June. And unfortunately, we continue with severe drought. That recent rain really didn't help all that much. Tonight, 52, clear skies, quite cool. 77 tomorrow, picture perfect on your Friday. Paul Davis, 7-day forecast, only lower 70s into the weekend and breezy. 48 Sunday morning, still 70s next week with a slight chance of rain by Tuesday.
Thank you, Bob. In honor of America's 250th, a Delaware man is riding on horseback to Philadelphia to reenact a key piece of Revolutionary era history. If this event hadn't happened, things could have turned out very differently for the colonies and altered the future of America. But as Tim Furlong shows us from our sister station, the figure who rode that horse, he isn't without controversy.
So he sets out because he had no other choice. He had to get there to save himself, save the country.
Ciro Poppity has transformed himself into founding father Caesar Rodney. Ciro is a lawyer, a Delaware National Guardsman, an actor, and he is his county's elected Register of Wills, as Caesar Rodney once was in his. And on June 12th, Ciro will be riding on horseback to Independence Hall, as Rodney did when he raced there in 1776 in a storm, after he learned at midnight that he needed to break the tie in the Delaware delegation to vote for independence from England.
You've got to get to Philadelphia by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock the next day as the gavel is coming in. Otherwise, everything you've done is now destroyed. Caesar Rodney had cancer. He had facial cancer. In fact,
Rodney always wore a green scarf to hide a cancerous formation on his face, and while he rode the horse trails from Dover to Philly, Ciro will basically ride along Route 13 through Claymont and Delco and then cut up to Passyunk Ave to Independence Hall. And he's doing it June 12th and 13th because the actual anniversary of the ride in early July will be busy with all the World Cup hoopla. Well-trained Amish horses and buggy will make the ride safer for Ciro on the busy modern roads. And of course, the elephant in the room is that Rodney is now considered by many to be a controversial figure. His family owned slaves on their Kent County farm. During the George Floyd protests in 2020, the Rodney statue was removed from Wilmington's Rodney Square, although it is now on display in Freedom Plaza in Washington, D.C.
we have critics who want to damn Caesar Rodney for having slaves, and they should. We embrace those who are critical of Caesar Rodney because those who are critical of him are helping us and they're fulfilling our mission. Our mission is to tell the full story, warts and all, and to expose the fact, right, that it was all people of all colors that helped make the greatest upset in world history happen.
If you would like to learn more about Ciro's Rodney reenactment, when you can see him on the ride to Philly, as well as the gala and concert that are tied to this ride, you can go to 250ride.org. In Old Newcastle, Delaware, Tim Furlong, Coast TV News.
Tonight in sports, the Delaware State playoffs are nearing their final days, and more local teams will be battling it out for a state title. DSN's Darren Wallace joins us in sports with more on what's to come for the next couple of weeks.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Good evening, Delmarva. It's Thursday, which means the weekend is right around the corner, and we'll also have an exciting boys lacrosse state championship to look forward to. But we're going to start with a look ahead on the baseball diamond. The DIAA released the brackets for the baseball postseason tournament earlier today, and 9 teams from the Henlopen Conference made the dance. The top 8 seeds each received first round bye, so Caesar Rodney, Cape Henlopen, Lake Forest, and Sussex Central will have the benefit of resting their starters until next Thursday. As for the rest of the field, Indian River, Sussex Tech, Delmar, Smyrna, and Dover are the remaining Henlopen squads playing in the first round. Indian River and Smyrna will kick off the tournament when they face each other on Monday, and on Tuesday, Sussex Tech will host Delaware Military Academy. Delmar will face Tower Hill, and St. Mark's welcomes in Dover. The state championship game will be played on Friday, June 12th at Frawley Stadium. Now let's take a look at our key matchups presented by Shell Brothers. There'll be no live games tomorrow on DSN or DSN Plus, but we will continue our coverage of the Delaware postseason. Sussex Central and Caravel Academy will face off in the state championship game in softball tomorrow night at 7 p.m. We'll provide you with live updates on our social media channels along with highlights on the final score. So make sure you're following us at Delmarva Sports on all of our social media pages. And on Saturday, we're going to have coverage from Caesar Rodney High School. Excuse me, I had to think about that for a moment, but from Caesar Rodney High School between Cape Henlopen and Salesianum for the Boys Lax State Championship game. That is going to be a good one. That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, everyone.
Coast TV News has earned its first regional Edward R. Murrow Award in the television small market category for Best Newscast. The newscast was Coast TV's coverage of the Delaware legislative session on June 10th, while Representative Stell Parker Selby remained absent from Legislative Hall. Coast TV repeatedly went to Dover to seek answers. Parker Selby later resigned. The awards recognize news organizations that demonstrate the excellence associated with Edward R. Murrow, who was recognized as one of the greatest journalists in American history. And you'll find that on our Feel Good Friday newsletter. Be sure to subscribe. It's full of features, cool things to do each weekend, and more. You can sign up now for our Feel Good Friday newsletter at coasttv.com/signup.
Brandon, we're feeling pretty good about this Friday forecast. You might need a jacket in the morning hours as we're looking at temperatures beginning in the 50s with the breeze out of the north, and then we're to the upper 70s. Lots of sunshine tomorrow with the wind shifting to the southwest. Call the Coast TV First Alert weather phone. Your forecast just a call away. Sponsored by Brockstead, Mandalas, Federico. Paul, they have his 10-day forecast. 77 tomorrow, then only low 70s into the weekend. It's going to be chilly. In fact, by Sunday morning, down to 48. Then we're in the 70s next week. Not a lot of rain chances, maybe a few showers on Tuesday. Warming up by the end of the week, 83 Friday, and then mid to upper 80s into the weekend, Brandon. Finally, some beach weather at that time.
Finally, thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us here for Coast TV News at 11. For more news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app. This Night Show starring Jimmy Fallon, that's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow morning for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.